Hello friends, this video on transport in plants and animals part 24 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. And the third mechanism that we are going to discuss is transpiration pull. So what kind of pull is this? Now even before we talk about transpiration pull, we have to understand what is transpiration. Now here what happens is this entire pull causes upward movement of water through xylem, and this upward movement of water is because of this transpiration pull. So every time this question arises in your mind, that how is it possible that so much of water is moving upward against the gravity? How come is it moving towards the up direction? So that becomes clear with this concept of transpiration pull. So in the picture also you can see that everything it tends to move upwards. So water is being pulled up from below. So let's see what is transpiration. So it is the loss of water from leaves of plants by evaporation. Now as I have mentioned before also that in case of plants there are tiny pores on their leaves, and these tiny pores are called stomata. Now these stomata on the leaves, these are the pores through which there is some loss of water by evaporation. That is, water evaporates to form water vapor, and that's how water is lost from the leaves of the plant. Now when the leaves lose the water, but they again need water, so they try to pull the water from the below parts, maybe the branches. Then the branches pull water from even below parts, maybe the lower branches, and gradually the entire plant experiences a pull in the upward direction, and this is called transpiration pull. So if you look at the concept of stomata, as I mentioned before, these are the pores which are present on leaves surface. So if you try to magnify the leaf, you'll be able to see the presence of these pores. However, the stomata are so tiny that they are not visible with our naked eye. But these are the holes through which water loss takes place. So in this case, these tiny pores called stomata, they help in exchange of gases as well as water vapor between the external atmosphere and the inside of the leaf. So these are basically like how we have windows in our houses. So why do we have the windows? So that there is proper ventilation, so that enough air can enter inside the house. So in a similar way, the leaves also have these tiny pores through which exchange of gases, oxygen, carbon dioxide can take place, and exchange of water vapor can also take place. So transpiration happens through these stomata. That is, some of the water get converted into water vapor through these tiny pores, and that's how the leaves lose water. Now, what happens when the leaves lose water? So that's what happens, which causes the transpiration pull. Now when we talk about the stomata, now it is not that the stomata remain open all the time. In fact, if you look at the structure of stomata, it is surrounded by a pair of kidney shaped cells called guard cells. So here you can see this and this. These are two guard cells, so they always exist in pairs. Now these two cells decide whether the stomatal opening will be there or not. So when these two cells come very close to each other, this opening is not there. When they go far away from each other, then the opening is created. So basically, only when the stomata remains open, this exchange of gases or loss of water can take place. So a lot depends on these guard cells as well. So these guard cells, they have outer thin walls but inner thick walls. So they have very thin walls on the outer side, but on the inner side they have thick walls. Because of that, their movement is possible because they have different types of walls on both sides. So they control the opening and closing of stomata, and that is most important because opening and closing of stomata decides whether transpiration will take place or not. So this opening and closing of stomata happens somewhat like this. So you see here, the two guard cells, when they come very close to each other, the space in between them or the opening in between them reduces. Similarly, when they go far away, it gets opened properly. So proper exchange of gases can take place. Now there are various factors which can affect the movement of the stomata, that is the movement of the guard cells. For example, light, temperature, carbon dioxide, oxygen concentration, availability of water, concentration of potassium ions. So with this we got an idea about what is transpiration, loss of water through stomata. Now it will happen depending upon the movement of the guard cells. Now what happens when transpiration takes place? How does it create a pull? Now what happens is water is lost from the leaves of the plants. So from the topmost layer of the plants, water is lost. Why? Because evaporation takes place due to the heat of the sun. So water on the leaves, they evaporate in presence of light, due to the heat of the sun, and they get converted to water vapor. So basically the leaves lose water. Now when the leaves lose water, so they tend to pull water from below. So they pull water from below. Again, when these parts lose water, again they tend to pull water from further below, and that ways a pull is created in the upward direction, and this pull is called transpiration pull. Now, how this transpiration pull can actually cause water to move up to the column, because every part of the plant is in need of water, because due to transpiration water is lost. So it is something like this. Let us suppose that you have 100 rupees with you. Okay, and you got this money from your father. Now let's say that you went to market, you purchased a few things and you spent that entire 100 rupees. Now you again need money. So what will you do? You will ask your father to give you money. Correct? So let us suppose this is you and this is your father. Okay, so you ask your father to give you money. So now what will your father do? Maybe your father will go to the bank to take the money. So your father will ask the bank to give the money. So basically you see, you are dependent on your father is dependent on the bank. Similarly in this case, these leaves, they will take water from their below parts. Again they will pull water from their below parts, and that's how an upward pull will get created. So, and water will be carried by the xylem vessels. So we have already spoken about the tube-like structures, tracheids and vessels. So they are going to carry water. So the water will actually move by the process of diffusion, because anyways the now when this part of the plant loses water, so concentration of water below is more than concentration above. So as a result of that, diffusion will also happen from downward to upward. So diffusion mechanism will help in water movement. Now, loss of one molecule from stomata causes one water molecule in the tube to move up gradually, resulting in a pull. So, it is something like this. So, let us assume that this is how a xylem vessel looks like. So, if this is a xylem vessel and we assume that this is one water molecule which is lost due to transpiration, that is, this water molecule got evaporated to water vapor. So, there is no water molecule here. Now, what happens? The water molecule which was present below, that is pulled upward. So then again a vacuum is created here. So another water molecule which was present below will move upward, and again when this water molecule moves here, again that will get evaporated. So this will move upward. So gradually all the water molecules will tend to move in the upward direction, and this is how water moves in the upward direction. Now similarly, this water movement will take place not only in roots and stems but also in leaves. So in leaves also water diffuses from stomata to the surrounding air. That is the movement of water. I mean, what happens during transpiration, that also happens due to the concept of diffusion, because when the leaves receive enough water, then the concentration of water in the leaf is more. Therefore, water will tend to move from the leaf to the surroundings, and that's how the leaf will also lose water. So basically this is how the movement of water will take place. So here you can have a closer look. Now if you look at the internal structure of a leaf, this is how it will look like. Now I am not getting into the details now, you learn these in higher classes. So you see here you have the stomatal pore, the stomatal opening. So through these stomatal opening, diffusion of water will take place. So you see, when one water droplet is lost, what happens? Another water droplet comes from this xylem vessel. Similarly, through this stomatal pore also, when one water droplet is lost, another will come through the xylem vessel. So that's how that upward movement will be created. In fact, this is how water will also move in the leaf. So it's a very simple concept. Due to transpiration, a net upward movement of water, plus inside the xylem vessel also, whenever one water molecule will be lost, another water molecule from below or from sideways will be brought to take its place. So that's how the entire concept of water transport takes place in case of plants. So let us have a quick recap of the xylem transport. So xylem is responsible for conduction of water and minerals. So soil has maximum water. When we water the plants, that time also we make sure that we provide water to the soil, because soil particles have the ability to hold water. So from soil, how do the plants get water? Through their root hairs. So these root hairs will actually capture water from the soil. Now, from root hairs, these are carried by the xylem vessels of roots. So the roots will also have its xylem vessels. So tube-like structures like this. So these tube-like structure will actually carry or transport the water as well as the dissolved minerals. So from there it will reach the xylem of stem somewhere here. So the xylem of stem will also move it in the upward direction. Why upward direction? First of all, because concentration of water is more in the downward direction. So by diffusion also, water will move in the upward direction. Plus, due to transpiration, the upper parts of the plants are losing water. So that way is also a pool will be created from the in the upward direction. So the xylem, from roots it will start moving through the xylem of stem, and finally it will be able to reach the leaf veins. Now if you look at the structure of a leaf, you will see these kind of lines on the leaves, right? So these are nothing but the leaf veins. So finally it will reach the leaf veins, and that's how you see the water and minerals got transported to various parts of the plant. So that's how we get to know the significance of transpiration, that it creates a transpiration pool because of which water gets transported to different parts of the plant. So that's one advantage. It also helps in transport of dissolved minerals, because the water in the soil, it also contains a lot of dissolved minerals. For example, potassium, sodium, calcium, phosphorus. So many dissolved minerals are present in the water in soil. So not only water gets transported, but also those minerals reach various parts of the plant. And these minerals are extremely important for growth and development of plants. Provide water for photosynthesis. Water also acts as a raw material for photosynthesis, because for photosynthesis to take place, you need carbon dioxide, you need water also. So water is very important. Without water, photosynthesis cannot take place. Now since transpiration happens, that is why water is able to reach the upper parts of the plants like leaves. And since leaves have water, that is why they are able to perform photosynthesis. So it is not only the water that gets transported by this mechanism of transpiration pool, but also the minerals which are dissolved in water. So the uptake of minerals from soil to roots and then to xylem, they also happen by active and passive transport. And then what happens to the minerals? Then minerals are also translocated to various parts of the plants like leaves and branches through transpiration pool along with water. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again.